What's going on, guys? Amazing Whites here, back with another video. Today we're going to be going over the 6 new heroes coming for the week 3 of the half-year anniversary, so let's get into it. Alright, so as you can see here from the actual update notice, so we're going to be getting all 6 of these guys in the half-year anniversary special draw event. So all 6 of these units right here. So we're going to be going over each of them and letting you guys know if you should be summoning. So let's hop into the first character here. We have the Red Elaine. So Red Elaine is probably one of the best units on the banner. Just because of her passive, right? Her passive is super nice. Increases the status related buff effects by 1.5 times for all allies in deathmatch. So what that means is that if you're using Zeniri in Hell Crimson and you have Elaine in the sub slot, you're also going to be getting the 1.5 times for each of her buffs. So for every buff Zeniri has, you like times that by 1.5, which is, like, you know, big boost right there. And then she's just gonna be doing insane amounts of damage. Another thing to note is that the Elaine, Zeniri, and Jenna, they all give you increased drops for their specific demon that you fight with. So for Elaine, you're gonna get increased drop for the cosmetic upgrades, right? For the Crimson demon. For Zeniri, you're gonna be getting increased drops on the Gray demon, and Jenna, you're gonna be getting increased drops on the Red demon. Just as a side note, right? It makes these units pretty valuable, especially for people that farm a lot, because, like, one thing to note is that doubling your rewards, shout out to Sakapoko, he actually made like a guide going over everything, but doubling your rewards, if you're doing 12 demons a day, these units are actually very valuable to have. So that's just something to note, right? Yeah, let's get into Elaine's actual skills. So for her first skill, she's going to inflict damage equal to 500% of attack on one enemy and fills the ultimate move gauge by 2 orbs. Pretty decent right there. Obviously the same card as Escanor, but her stats aren't going to reflect the same amount of damage, right? For her second skill here, she's going to decrease defense related stats of all enemies by 40% for 3 turns, which is a pretty good skill. I think this is the same skill as Benimaru, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to cancel buffs and stances on one enemy and inflicts damage equal to 490% of attack and then stuns for 1 turn. The multiplier can scale up to 735% at 6 out of 6. So Elaine is a pretty good character. She's probably one of the best from the Valentines units. So let's hop into the next one. So we have Zeniri. So for Zeniri, she's going to be here for the Gray Demon, right? She's going to be your main drop bonus for the Gray Demon. For her passive, she's going to fill the hero's ultimate move gauge by 1 when the hero removes debuffs on the allies. It's a pretty good passive. I mean, if you want to like get extra ult gauge here, having her on the main team, it might be pretty helpful in Hell Gray Demon. But let's go over her first skill here. She's going to inflict damage equal to 450% of attack on one enemy and disables ultimate move gauge increase for 2 turns. How it works is that it disables the ultimate moves from being used at all. So if you do use it on like the Gray Demon, he's not going to be able to ultimate you if he's at max ultimate, which is super nice, right? Super nice card right there. For her second skill, she's going to heal diminished HP of all allies by 50% and removes debuffs. So this is the same skill as Blue King. If you guys have used Blue King, you know the exact same skill right there. And it's a very good healing skill, man. Healing by diminished HP is very valuable because it doesn't have to scale through attack. It's just straight up however much HP you lost, you get 50% of that back. And sometimes it actually just, you know, you crit heal and you just get insane bonuses. So a really good card right there. For her ultimate, she's going to create a barrier around all allies equal to 380% of attack and increases HP related stats of all allies by 25%. This can scale up to 530% at 6 out of 6. So overall, Zeniri is a pretty good unit, but her kit isn't like that crazy. Like, you don't really need her for Gray Demon, but she's definitely there for the extra drops for Gray Demon as that bonus that she gets, right, with her cosmetics. So she's only valuable really for that. I don't really think she has much play in Gray Demon, as the units we already have in the game just outshine her, but she does still have her viability. She's definitely usable in Gray Demon. So the final unit we're going to be going over in the Valentine's batch is going to be the Jenna. So Jenna's passive here, this unit can only receive 1 debuff effect. When this unit has a debuff, increases the unit's attack by 20%. This is a pretty good skill, especially when fighting the Red Demon, because you get ignited pretty easily, and getting that 20% attack could be super beneficial on Jenna's damage. For her first skill here, she's going to inflict damage equal to 250% of attack on all enemies and infects for 3 turns. This disables the Red Demon from actually lifestealing any health back, which is super nice, right? Obviously, like, him doing all his attacks on your raid partner and you, he's going to be healing a lot, right? So if you're able to get this attack off, you're going to make it so you can't get that lifesteal. For her second card, she's going to cancel stances on one enemy and inflicts damage equal to 500% of attack. This is super useful on the Red Demon also, because the Red Demon actually procs a stance skill every other turn. And having this is going to make it so you're able to get through that damage reduction that he gets through the stance. So for her ultimate, she's going to inflict break damage equal to 560% of attack on one enemy, and break is ×2 damage against stanced enemies. Another thing to note is that what you can do is you can actually chain the break and then her cancel stances card. So you would actually use the break card first to get the bonus damage on the stanced enemy, and then cancel the stance with any of her level 1, level 2, or level 3 of the bright shot card. Another thing to note is that this ultimate can scale to 840% of attack at 6 out of 6, which is pretty good. Overall, I do think that Jenna is going to be a pretty good character for Red Demon. Nothing crazy, right? Obviously, that having that increased attack on her passive is super nice, and stop and recovery on the Red Demon and canceling stances is another thing to note, which is really good. So overall, these 3 Valentine's units probably are the ones you want to get if you're thinking about it. The New Year's units, which I'm going to be going over, are kind of just luxury units. They just let you choose which demon you want, but having these units right here, the Elaine, Zeniri, and Jenna, they give you the double drops on the cosmetic upgrades, and that's going to be super important when you're trying to max out all your cosmetics. Alright, so let's hop into the New Year's units now. So we have the Green Demon Meliodas as the first character. A lot of people are hyped up for Green Demon Meliodas. I don't think he's all that, though. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't think he's all that. The Blue Demon Melly, and I think Red Demon Melly is probably better than him, but he looks like a fun unit for sure. For Green Demon Meliodas' passive, it says, during your turn, if an enemy dies with Meliodas dealing the final blow, fills the hero's ultimate move gauge orbs by the number of ultimate move gauge orbs the enemy had. So how this works is that, let's say you kill someone with 5 ultimate move gauge and Demon Melly only had 1. When you kill the guy with the 5 ultimate move gauge, Demon Melly gets his ultimate the next turn. He gets all the ultimate move gauge that the enemy had when he killed them. So very powerful if you know, play your cards accordingly. You know, get that ultimate on Demon Melly and you do the weak point ulti. Pretty insane damage, right? For his first card, he's going to inflict damage equal to 450% of attack on one enemy and prevents ultimate move gauge from filling up for 2 turns. This is pretty nice because it makes it so you can't actually, makes the opponent not able to gain ultimate move gauge. But another thing to note is that this can be cleansed off by Blue King, so it is kind of useless if you don't use a recovery disabling unit with Green Demon Melly. But it could work if you bring like Arthur with him, maybe, to stop the recovery that King can provide. So, you know, definitely an option right there. For his second card, he's going to inflict 250% of attack on all enemies and infects for 3 turns. This is the same card as the Jenna we actually just went over. So how it works is it stops enemies from recovering during the turn, so like any life steal, it stops them from doing that. It's pretty nice. It's nothing crazy, and because it is AoE, the Red Demon Melly actually has single target infect, so that's honestly a little bit better than this, but it's still a pretty good card overall, and it does help for his ultimate in conjunction, right? For his ultimate, he's going to inflict weak point damage equal to 385% of attack, and this can scale up to 578 at 6 out of 6. His weak point ultimate with Merlin Link actually does 440% of attack and can scale up to 660% of at 6 out of 6. So Green Demon Meliodas does look like a pretty good character for PvP. He's not anything that insane really though, as both of his effects right here can be cleansed off by Blue King, which is a little annoying, and Blue King is a top tier meta unit right now, so you definitely have to take that into account. Another thing to note with Green Demon Meliodas, he actually gets you the Crimson Demon guaranteed whenever you complete a boss battle. So when you get his all Demon Melly's cosmetics that you're going to get in the update, it makes it so that you're able to guaranteed force a Crimson Demon to spawn. Elizabeth actually forces a Red Demon to spawn, and then Jericho forces the Gray Demon to spawn. Let's go over the Princess Elizabeth now. I think Princess Elizabeth is probably one of the best characters that are going to be in this batch right here. The reason for that is because her cards are going to be really nice for PvP, and they're actually super slept on. So let's actually hop into her kit. So for her passive, she's going to increase all allies recovery rate by 10% if the ally is healed by the hero, limit of 5 times, so that's pretty useful. Let's go over her first skill. So inflicts damage equal to 300% of attack on all enemies and heals all HP equal to 40% of the damage dealt. This is a really good card, man. You're doing damage and you're healing your allies, which is pretty insane. Another thing to note is that her level 1 actually heals one ally by 80% of the damage dealt, which is pretty insane, right? If you're doing a good chunk of damage here, let's say your Elizabeth is super low on health, you're going to heal 80% of the damage you already did, and it's AoE, so it's going to be a pretty good chunk. For her second skill here, she's going to remove debuffs on all allies, grant debuff immunity, and increases defense related stats by 50% for 3 turns. This card is actually super beneficial to have alongside like Arthur. Maybe if you're running like an amplify team, it could be super nice, right? Alright, for her ultimate, she's going to heal HP of all allies equal to 420% of attack and fills the ultimate move gauge by 2 orbs. When linked up with Fat King, she actually heals HP of allies of 480% and fills the ultimate move gauge by 2 orbs. And the non-linked ultimate can scale up to 630%. When linked with Fat King, it can scale up to 720%. So overall, the Red Elizabeth looks like she's going to be a really good character, because healing while attacking just is such a good card, man. Like, this card right here is such a good card, man. Doing 300% AoE and then healing 40% of that on your team, it's basically like using a level 1 heal card on like Lilia per se, right? It's just a nice thing to have. Another thing to note, with the defense related stats, you're going to be making your team super tanky and you're going to have grant debuff immunity. Super good unit right here. I think she's going to have some... Actually, she's going to have some pretty decent PvP viability. For the final unit we're going to be going over, it's going to be the blue Jericho. For her passive here, she's going to increase crit chance of all allies by 5% if allies crit when using skills. So it's basically like her passive on the green one, except she actually gives it to her allies, which is not that bad. But overall, I do think that's kind of a lackluster passive. You aren't really building up anyone crit wise, like other than the green Jericho herself. So nothing really that crazy. For her first skill here, she's going to inflict explode damage equal to 400% of attack on one enemy, explode after 1 turn. This is actually explode card deals the 100% of the damage dealt in that turn. So if you're doing 400%, you're going to do exactly that the next turn, right? Which is super nice. For her second skill, she's going to inflict damage equal to 300% of attack on one enemy and decreases HP related stats by 30% for 2 turns. Pretty good card right there. You know, decreasing the HP related stats makes it so they're easier to kill. It's not even that bad of a card, right? For 2 turns, HP related stats, pretty good debuff right there. And then for her ultimate, she's going to inflict spike damage equal to 560% of attack. This can scale up to 840 at 6 out of 6. When linked up with Gila, it actually does 640% of attack and then can scale up to 960%. So overall, should you guys be summoning on the banner? I kind of delayed this bear, but honestly, I would say depending on how they do the cosmetics, because they didn't really say how they're doing them. If you get the cosmetics with the character once you summon, like all of them, if they just give you all the cosmetics outright, then I think it would be a worthwhile summon. But for most people, if you don't really grind that hard, especially like for the Valentine units, if you don't grind that heavily in your demons, I don't think you really need them. It's only really meant for people that want to grind and upgrade all their cosmetics as fast as possible, because these units give you so much benefit through that. And the only reason for having the Meliodas, Elizabeth, and Jericho is just so you're able to choose whichever demon you want. It's just a luxury, right? It's just there to let you farm whichever one you want to farm, which, you know, can be very useful if you're low on one specific demon and you just keep getting unlucky. But overall, I do think that you should probably be skipping their banner. Like, most people aren't going to have enough gems to do it anyway because of the Lost Vein banner, so just, you know, save your gems. You don't need them. They are nice to have though, but you definitely don't need them in your box. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.